Are you a pro Genji? If so, this video is probably not for you, but for all of the other guys out there, all of you people who want to learn how to play the character much better than you can currently play him, this is the right place to be. In this video, I'm going to talk about everything that you need to know to be a good Genji player. Let's get into it. So first things first, as if I have to cover it, should you learn Genji? The answer is yes, you definitely should learn Genji. If you can play a mean Genji, you can carry in a lot of games. You can do very well in a lot of games. And make a lot of really good things happen. I would say above anybody else, I don't believe that people can necessarily carry in the game of Overwatch, but I do believe that if anybody were to carry, it would definitely be a Genji player or something like a Widow or Hanzo, as much as people hate those characters, because of how good they are. Headshots on either of those other two snipers and you get an insta kill, so if you have good accuracy on them, well, that's good. On Genji, it's a little bit different, right? Genji has shurikens as opposed to a sniper. Genji can dash through people, which does quite a bit of damage. His melees are always used in his kit, always used in his combos, and everything else that he does, it usually implies a melee at some point. And then finally his E ability, which is a deflect, which can just one-shot certain people depending on what you got coming at you at the time. So he's a very strong character. He has been pushed slightly out of the meta, not that that matters at all. A good Genji can still play in today's meta, even at the highest level. Just look at Seagull, just look at Shadowburn. They're both Genji players, and they both do fantastic. So let's cover the two ways that you can play a Genji. So you can play backline Genji, which is backline on your own team, kind of as a kind of like a McCree, if you will. And somebody who plays like this that's a pro that you should watch is Seagull. Seagull plays like this. He plays in his team behind the Reinhardt as kind of a defensive backline Genji on his own team. And then whenever it's time to get work done, he then will make that journey around to the back of the other team. The other form of Genji that you can play is the harassment or flanking Genji. This is usually played by Shadowburn. If you don't know who Shadowburn is, check him out. He's one of the best Genji players in the world, along with probably Seagull, I would say. What Shadowburn likes to do is Shadowburn likes to harass a lot on Genji, and he's very good at it. So these are the two different playstyles. You can switch up your playstyles as much as you would like, depending on the other team's comp, depending on how well they can deal with you, depending on if they're chasing you down, you know, if they're setting somebody aside to actually pursue you and everything like that. So let's point out what Genji is. Genji is the cyborg ninja that can double jump, climb up walls. He can shift for quite a good distance. He can deflect your shots, and he's extremely hard to hit because of all of his mobility that I've just kind of covered here. However, on the downside, he has low health. He has 200 health, just like any other assassin that's going to be behind the Reinhardt shield. The only problem is he's not going to always be able to have that shield in front of him. He's going to have to eventually, to do Dragonblade, be up in the face of the entirety of the enemy team, whether that enemy team is earth shattered or whether that enemy team is free to roam. He's going to have to get in there and make the best of it. The reason why he can make the best of it is because he can double jump over a Reinhardt swing, so Reinhardt can't necessarily get to him. You can also be above people, slashing down on them, and still get a wide slash in to hit multiple targets at the same time as long as they're close to one another, which means that he is very strong. It's very hard to hit Genji because of all of his mobility. Just make sure that whenever you are ulting or whenever you're playing Genji normally, that you are constantly moving. Double jumps, wall climbs, all of that stuff need to always be going on. Anytime that you see somebody low and you have your dash up, you need to get in, get the kill, get out. It's as simple as that. You don't want to get in. You'll learn this. Everything comes with practice too. So you want to figure out that sweet spot of I can get in with a dash, maybe do the combo dash right click or fan shurikens, and then melee to get the kill, and then immediately dash out. If you're in too deep, you know, you dash into 6 people, you kill one of them, you have 5 people who are just going to converge on you and kill you, dash back out to protect yourself, and go from there. He's very strong whenever it comes to this, because anytime you get an elimination, your shift ability or your blade dash will reset the cooldown. This is extremely strong because you can get in and get out, like I've just said. I know I mentioned this just recently, but this is an absolutely huge tip. If you want to become a better Genji, depending on which playstyle you wanted to go for, right? The flanking Shadowburn style or the backline on your own team, Seagull style, you want to watch these people play. You want to watch other Genjis play and kind of look at what the pros are doing and model your play off of them, because chances chances are is they're very good, and they know some things and some strategies and some positions for Genji to be in that will surprise you and make you a much better Genji. The biggest thing, and I cannot stress this enough, because this was the case with me. I loved Genji from the start, but I was like, oh man, I'm just not that good of a Genji. And then I practiced with Genji, and then I became so much better with Genji, and it was night and day. So if you want one suggestion, if you have to take one tip away from this, you need to practice Genji. Just practice him. Just go into quick play. Nobody's gonna say anything. If they do, ignore them. It doesn't matter. Block them. Do whatever you have to do. Practice. Get that practice in, because practice on Genji will make a world of difference in your gameplay. I promise you that. So another downside to Genji, or kind of a downside to Genji, which makes Sombra kind of a very strong person to go against as Genji, because she can hack you, is you are an extremely ability reliant hero, right? So you rely extremely heavily on your shifts and your E's. Most characters in Overwatch do rely on abilities pretty hard, but whenever Soldier is hacked, he can't put down his biotic field, and he can't shoot his Helix rocket, but he can get out a ton of damage just because he's a left click and auto attacking hero, I guess you could say. Not auto attack, sorry, that's MOBA terms. But he does his attacks from his left click most. Genji, not so much. Genji gets his damage and his mobility from the other abilities. That's why if you take away his mobility, which is partially what you're going to be doing, he can obviously double jump and wall climb, but if you hack him, he cannot dash and he cannot E to deflect. That destroys his mobility quite a bit. He can still hold his own, he can still double jump around and hope for the best, but whenever it comes down to it, he has no escape, being his shift, and he has no deflection, which can shred some people, or at least make them stop shooting at him for a while. So that is why he is extremely, extremely ability reliant, and why it's not necessarily a bad thing because of how he works. You just have to be kind of careful and know when to use your cooldowns. Whenever it comes to his Dragonblade, his Q ability, his ultimate, the unleashing of the katana, it boils down to pretty much this. You want to find that opening that you can hit it and hit it hard, right? That sounded perverted. But you want to get to the area where you can just destroy a team, right? You want to find whenever they're most vulnerable. So there's two ways of doing this. You have to wait until they're so engrossed with a team fight with your own team that you can, I was going to say Yuji Okune, because that's what he says, but whenever you can Q and go in on the team from the back line, make sure that you kill the healers first. Ana is always top priority, and then go from there throughout the team. Reinhardt's obviously going to be last priority because your team can surround and kill him, and he's not going to be able to do anything about it. Your ulti has absolutely no prep time. That's why you can go in whenever it's the best time. The other time that you want to go in with your ulti is whenever you're coordinating. When's the best time to go in on somebody? Well, right after an Earth Shatter is completely fine. A Graviton Surge that grabs the whole team or grabs 4 members of the team is a great time to go in with your Q, but make sure that you communicate it to your team. Hey, let's do Graviton and Blade and just those ultimates, right? Because say you shoot in a Graviton and then Soldier visors, and then Ana nanos the Soldier to wipe it up, and then you Q, that's 4 ultimates. You only have 2 ultimates left in theory, which is bad, which is nothing that you want. You would rather save your ultimate for another fight that you can wipe out 2 or 3 more people of the team without the Graviton, because you can always find a time to go behind the team and to get a ton of kills on the team. And especially if you're really, really good at Genji, really good at that mobility, you can definitely jump around in there and just cause a lot of havoc. At the very least, keep yourself alive, get a kill, or get some serious damage off, and split attention away from your team so your team can move in and clear it up. So hopefully it works kind of like a pinch, right? You come from behind, they come from the front. Reinhardt has to pick an angle. You can sandwich in between and kill everybody in there. In theory is what you're going to want to do. So a couple of matchups that Genji is very, very good at. He's always good at killing the snipers, right? So Hanzo and Widow, they can obviously get lucky shots on you. You can deflect them back in their face. But on the other hand, you can get to them very easily because you can climb up walls, you can double jump. They don't have a lot of things that let them take care of you. Widow has mine and then left click. That's all she really has. On the other hand, Hanzo just has scatter arrow and then hope that he can left click you and get lucky with it. Zenyatta and Mercy. The reason why you're good against Mercy is because Mercy has trouble defending herself. If her team is around her, she's also a very, very quick kill because she doesn't have very much mobility. She can fly to people, but you can blade dash after and hit her in the middle of that blade dash and then combo her. right? So you can kill a Mercy extremely quickly. Zenyatta, on the other hand, his health is mostly shields. I think he has 50 health normally and then 150 in shields. Shields are a little bit weaker than normal health, I believe, but they regenerate health and they regenerate the shield on top of that. So you want to be very careful on what you're doing, but whenever you go in on a Zenyatta, jump around a lot kind of a thing, make him outskill you if he's going to beat you. But Zenyatta is a very, very easy kill on Genji. I think I get him 90% of the time, as opposed to him killing me 10% of the time or making me retreat that other 10% of the time. It's probably 5 and 5 for that end. He kills me 5% of the time. He makes me turn back 5% of the time. The other 90%, I kill him. He's very, very simple to kill. Even if it's a really well aimed Zenyatta, you can deflect him back in his face, and he does a ton of damage to himself if you do that. A few of the harder matchups, and these are, I don't want to say the impossible matchups, but these are the hardest matchups to face in a 1v1, right? And you guys already probably know them. They're the beam attaching or beam using heroes, right? So Winston's the hardest because Winston's a tank. I tried it out with a friend of mine and I ulted, so I got the Dragonblade out and we just went head to head. I killed him with 42 health left, and that's me using my ultimate and dashes and everything else in there for that extra damage. So he does a lot of damage. He's very hard, but whenever a Winston is in the game and your team is kind of is together, Winston's not too big of an issue. He's probably going to try and focus you, but you have enough mobility to move away from him. Just make sure that he jumps and then you dash. You don't want to dash and then him jump on top of you, because then you have no escape and you can't block the beam. Symmetra is one of the easiest ones to counter. She's one of the easier ones to counter of your hard matchups. The reason why is because you don't let her get close to you. You have to take her shields down and then you go in. Usually if you do that, if you take her shields down, she has about, I think, 100 health left. That's simply a right click as long as you hit one of the stars, a dash, and then a melee. She'll die from that. But make sure that you take down that shield before you move in. The last one is Zarya, and I usually don't mess with Zarya because the same thing is true for her. You can't deflect anything of hers except for her right click, and then she can bubble herself whenever you're doing your combo or your dash. And some Zaryas are very, very good with the timing. Pharah is kind of a meh person to go against. The reason why is because she's up in the air and your shurikens are kind of hard to hit, because they have quite a bit of traveling time. They don't have any drop off, but they do have quite a bit of traveling time. So it's kind of a pain to line all of that stuff up. But one thing that is absolutely amazing about Genji is that he can outplay a ton of people who could otherwise kill him, right? So you think, okay, well, what about McCree Genji? All right, so the first person to get the flashbang, so McCree throws the flashbang, you deflect it back at the person, you win the battle. That's the biggest thing, is you want to deflect the flashbang or get out of the way of the flashbang so that you can do a lot of damage to him. Force him to be a good aim. If he's not a good aim and he has to hit you with the flashbang and then right click you, to empty the clip into you and kill you, you should exploit that 100% of the time. Just hit him from distance and then close that gap and hopefully like figure out where he's going to throw it, or when he throws it, as soon as he sees you, he's going to throw it. You should be ready for that, deflect it, or shift through him, kind of a thing. So he throws it in front of you and then you're gone by the time it blows up, and then you can turn around and you can just kill him. Whenever it comes to someone like Roadhog, he's another 50-50 one. If he shifts you, if he hooks you, you're dead. But you can deflect that hook, and then he has a very, very difficult time hitting you because of your high mobility if you jump all around him, because he only has 4 bullets. So he's going to have 4 chances to left click you, and then he's going to try and heal. Whenever he's trying to heal, you want to sit in front of him and you want to ding his head, right? Just left click into his face. The streamlined shurikens, straight line shuriken throw into his head, and then continue your mobility. Very, very easy to kill a Roadhog at times. So guys, the biggest thing that I want you to take away from this is you have to practice, right? You have to know what you're doing in a game, because that's what Genji's all about. How you get Genji's damage off is by knowing when to use his abilities, when to blow those cooldowns, when they'll come back off cooldown before you need them again. So just kind of play around with Genji. That's the biggest thing with Genji. Genji, more than any other character in the game, is ability reliant. So just practice with Genji constantly, and I promise you will get to become a better Genji. Don't forget the combo, the shift, right click, and then melee. You can mess with the combo, of course, depending on your distance. Sometimes whenever I'm close, I like to right click shift and then turn around and right click and melee, because it does a ton of damage that way. whatever works for you. There's definitely some better ways to do things, definitely some less good ways to do things, as poetic as I guess that sounded. I probably sounded illiterate, but anyway, don't give up on Genji because he is a very strong hero, and he wasn't in season 3 all that much unless you were very good with him, but I think that he will probably make it back in season 4 and so on, because the devs seem to really like Genji, and they give him a lot of new skins and stuff constantly. Anyway guys, if you did enjoy the video, like, comment, and subscribe. Mainly subscribe because it helps my tiny ass channel grow, and I'm at 98 subscribers, and I would love to get to 100 subscribers sooner. It'd mean the world to me. What did you guys think about this video? What did you think about what I've said about Genji? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What do you think? I want to know so that I can learn from it, and so that I can have a discussion with you guys down in the comments. So please do let me know, and until next time, I will see you later. Peace.